Hi, Kevin. I'm here with Kevin Lewis, who I've met this year, thanks to working together at You Got This Conferences events. I'm super happy that I've met you because you have given me a lot of energy to continue with my work. And today I would like to talk about more about your work, which is You Got This Conferences. One online event is coming in January. It seems like it's going to be really great.
I hope so.
So
Yeah.
I hope we get to talk about this a little bit as well. Um, but to start with, I would like you to tell us more about the idea behind You Got This Conferences. So the conference for people in tech, but not exactly about the tech skills. So
Yeah,
can you tell us a
exactly.
little bit more
So
about that?
so the way I talk about You Got This is it's a conference for people mainly in tech, but really applicable to anyone in creative industries. And it's a conference series completely aimed around core skills. Sometimes people call those soft skills, but they are the skills that really we all need to be successful in our work, but aren't really taught anywhere the same way technical skills are. So we ran our first one in January 2019, which feels like so long ago now, but it really isn't. And yeah, so we ran the first one then, and it started life as an annual fixture. And then there were some community organizers who wanted to run similar events. And so we kind of reframed it as a community event series that we facilitate. So there's been your event. There's also been one in New York, and there's a series that runs out of Frankfurt in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's been running for a couple of years now. And not only is it a great opportunity to get people together in a space where it's really okay to talk about these thoughts and feelings that many of us have, but generally don't have an opportunity to speak about, but also creating a really good, free talk library out of all the talks that have happened at events before.
Well, this year has been, let's say, a big game changer for event organizer. You are very experienced event organizer, and I have been organizing events as well for a couple of years, and we had to face a completely different reality. How do you find that? I mean, do you feel like it's a new opportunity? How does it affect You Got This Conferences? Is a good thing and a bad thing? How do you see it?
I mean, I feel like I will likely see it very similar to you. So I'd never really run online events before March. So I had to do a lot of learning. And, through my work at Vonage, I had the opportunity to learn during work time as well, what makes a good online event. And, it's a great thing being able to take events online. The cost to run those events is so much lower, and you can spend less time on things that matter at in-person events, having good venues, having food, lodging and travel. You can spend less money on things like that and more on creating an accessible and equitable experience for everyone. So it's really good. You can get people from around the world. Your cost is way lower, and in many cases free or very close to free, depending on how you run your events. At the same time, I think You Got This very much has two benefits for the audience. One of them is the content, and that lives after the events and is available for people. But also, from the few that ran in person, just such an excellent opportunity to meet other people and talk and network. And really, I think there are some decent solutions to networking online, but none of them replace being able to do it in person. So I very much feel like the online event format, in the way that we run them, thinking about conferences, really focusing more on delivering great content than trying to mimic this networking and kind of accepting that we can try and do bits and bobs, but they will never be as good as when we do eventually get to return to in-person events.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That has been the most difficult part for me as well when I was organizing the conference this year, especially that the live event we had was, there was a lot of networking, and it was basically the what people were saying is that it was the charm of the event was that that we could actually meet and talk about some stuff that usually people don't talk about. But I also agree with you, it's really, really hard, especially if that, you know, people are already a bit tired with being on Zoom calls all the time.
Absolutely.
So you know, it might not be the best idea to kind of force that on them to interact even more
There
when
is
they don't
something
feel like
really
it.
There is something really nice about the online format, though. Like, let's be real, we're all really fed up of this year. It's tiring. It's taken its toll on many people in varying ways. The nice thing about online event formats, though, is they do allow you to be more flexible for your attendees.
Yeah.
It's awkward if you're at an in-person event in the middle of a theatre space and you just want to excuse yourself. That's kind of awkward. Online, that's allowed. And to that degree, I also think as event organisers, the way we talk about successes of events has to change for online, because it is just, you know, it's okay if people only want to come for this little bit of content and disappear. The success isn't necessarily that they are here for the whole day. I think I see a lot of people using that as metrics, like total watch time, and it just doesn't matter, especially if content's available afterwards. So it does also allow for more flexible opportunities. There is something really cool I've seen, though. Some event organizers have used the ability to use technology to completely rethink event experiences. There was an event called Roguelike Celebration, and wow, it was great. They very much applied game design to their events. They created a little like ASCII art map that you could navigate through a text prompt. And it was really fun. There was some really fun novel experiences that I saw coming out of that. So we also don't need to think about online events as just being a complete mimic of offline events.
No, I think we shouldn't. We shouldn't. I think it's a dead end. That also makes me think about finding sponsors and people that would support you. That's also a big part of organizing events. I think you're very successful in that, and you have a lot of companies supporting. You got this conference, the future event in January. How do you talk to the companies? You're organizing an online event, so they cannot really meet people, and they cannot really recruit in the way they're used to. You said also about the numbers. The numbers with online events, we cannot really guarantee how many people will attend, and especially if these events are free or happening during the weekend. And the last thing is that it's not a tech event. It's about the things that, you know, for some still seem not like the core skills, as you said, but something optional. I would say. So how do you interest those companies? How do you talk to them about this?
Yeah, so there's a few things you said there. So firstly, I am very upfront when I speak to sponsors about what it is we're spending money on. We have live captioning, which turns into transcriptions after events. We pay our speakers for their attendance. We pay people who are involved with various aspects of the event, like the talk review panel. Folks who do that are paid for their time. And I want to make sure that we set that expectation that no, people should be paid for their time, especially, I mean, I always believe this, but, you know, even more so at a time where some people's work situations are a bit more precarious than perhaps they have been. So firstly, being very upfront about what you're spending money on. Our sponsorships aren't expensive because the cost of running these events are way lower. These are not profit-making machines. Some people run conferences, some organizations run conferences with the express aim to make profit, which is totally fine. The expectations are slightly different then, and that just isn't the case with our events. And generally money that we make over the odds either goes into, for the in-person events, went into a pot which allowed us to give people free tickets and travel and lodging and, you know, their expenses while they're traveling for the event. So yeah, so the first thing is just being really upfront about what you're spending money on, and understanding that you have to ask for less money if it's an online event, but the caveat is it's going to cost way less to run. I also think a lot of the sponsors we have on board really buy into the importance of these skills. You know, a lot of companies only see immediate value in hard technical proficiencies, but if you just have those skills and you can't show empathy, or you don't know how to work with others, that is a problem. So I also think our events do provide skills which are absolutely critical, even if not expressed by everyone, but the sponsors we have involved do generally buy into that. And then the final way I would say is seeing the opportunities for sponsors to get value out of it as well. So some events will when people sign up, they can give their email address over to sponsors. Not my jam, not something we do at You Got This, but we give sponsors the ability to run raffles that we work to promote in order to, engage people after the event. We give people speaking slots during the day, but also you can access those at any point. And while online events do have less value in many ways, in others they have more, in the same way as the events overall. You have a much wider audience from around the world, including some regions that just don't have a vibrant tech community. Exactly. Absolutely. So that's kind of my answer, is I think we don't actually ask for that much money from sponsors, enough to make sure the event is viable, and we can cover it. And we can do that because it's very much a labor of love, a hobby project. It doesn't need to justify its existence with profit, which is very fortunate. We're clear about what we spend money on, and then we seek ways to, without degrading the attendee experience at all, try and provide value for sponsors. Yeah.
That's great. I also would like to talk a bit more about the topics that you are tackling at the conference. You said core skills, not soft skills. I also don't like this expression, soft skills, because it kind of gives it less importance when you say that. You are a developer yourself. You are working with other developers, right, at your work, and you know how much value is put down in technical skill set. It's so appreciated, and it's something that people in this field supposed to work all the time and improve them all the time. It's hard already as it is, and now we have the other skills that are sometimes even more difficult to master. How do you see it? I would like to also have your perspective, not only as the organizer of You Got This conference, but also as a working developer.
What, just how to how important the skills are, or the kind of things we're talking about?
How do you think that the way people see those skills, is it, you mentioned that the companies that are supporting you, they also support this idea of spreading this knowledge, but do you see it in every kind of day life, in the environment, in the community where technical skills are so high
valued? I mean, I think it's always the case that things are evolving and people are appreciating these skills more and more than ever. That's not to say they're appreciated in every business, every community, but I think that's a mistake. And I think those companies will fall behind unless they are encouraging people to better themselves in these areas. I mean, even if it's just being able to empathize with colleagues, with customers, with users, with with people who aren't like them. Like these are critical. We're like, we build software, we need to be building it for everyone. So we have, broadly, we have created 7 themes that the conference explores. It's not that anyone is explored more than others at any given event, but broadly every talk can fit into one or more of the following topics. Self-care. We're in an industry that is always on and always moving and always changing. And it's important sometimes to step back, take stock, and, think about your own well-being over the needs of your job, your community, your industry, and so on. So there's this whole theme around self-care. There is one around working with others. Very much what I was talking about, being able to empathize and communicate and disagree while still being respectful and so on. One around ethics in tech, something which I think, this is not an ethics in tech conference. There are conferences and communities that focus way more on that, but it's still something that we try and raise as much as possible. Always thinking about the implications of the choices that we make as developers and project managers and people, designing and building software. One around diversity, accessibility, and inclusion, which very much like ethics in tech, I think there are groups and communities and events that talk just about this topic. But while we have people, I think it's also important to talk about these topics and work to better ourselves. Some of the other themes include professional development. How do you move your own career on and take steps to do that? How to support your team as managers. That's a whole area which again has at least one conference series, the Lead Dev, very much focused on this, but we talk about it as well. And I think I did all 7. Our conference is kind of a melting pot of all of these themes. People wanting to come to understand how they can further their own careers and their own self-care and look out for their mental health while also doing the same for others. So yeah, that's our event is aimed at developers. But really anyone in creative fields, I think, would benefit from almost all of the content. But there are no technical talks.
Also on any level of professional career. So it's also for juniors and seniors.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that. The very first year we ran You Got This, it was called a conference for juniors. You got this, a conference for juniors. And the feedback was, it was a couple of things. Firstly, why just juniors? Like, that isn't necessarily the only group who'd benefit from hearing this. In fact, there are plenty of people who are managers or in senior positions who completely lack these skills and could do with working on them.
And that can be even more painful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think some people also hung up on the term juniors to talk about someone's age, and that isn't the case. It didn't for everyone talk to career changers or people who do this on the side or whatever. So the second year we changed it to, a core skills conference for developers, and now just more broadly, they're core skills conferences.
That's great. How can we join the conferences? Let's do a little bit of advertising at the end, or just simply inform people how they can still join, register, when it's happening. Tell us all.
Yes, so You Got This is not just a single event. It is a network of community-run conferences, including your own conference, which ran in September, and presumably and hopefully again, because the content was great. So it is a network of community conferences. So you can find out more information at yougotthis.io. And there you can find out about upcoming events, but also get access to the entire talk library. Any talk that has been recorded is there, available for free. It will never be behind a login or a payment wall. There are no ads. You can go there and you can grab that
amazing
content.
Library.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you. I really want it to be the de facto place for people to go when they want to learn about bettering their core skills. So the next event at the time of recording, as you have said a couple of times, is an event in January 2021. It is You Got This from Your Couch. It is an online virtual event happening January 15th and 16th. On the 15th, Friday, it's an affordable workshop day. There are 3 workshops, including how to disagree with your colleagues in a positive manner and seek resolution. One called UX Your CV, taking the concepts of user experience design and applying it to your resume. And then one around knowing your worth and how to like pitch the work you do in a way that puts your best foot forward and allows you to ask for more for your work. So that's on the 15th. And then on the 16th, January 16th, 2021 is a free conference day. I think we've got 10 talks. It's going to be like, there are some talks I'm so excited for, including one that happened at a previous You Got This Network event that didn't have recording, on negotiating after your start date, which I am particularly excited for, because I've seen that talk in its entirety, and it's so like, it's, you know, how to line yourself up for, you know, your next promotion or a bonus, or, you know, better benefits when the review period comes around. But there's loads of content, you know, managing the shift between being an individual contributor and a manager, talks around building equitable software for everyone, running ethics sessions at your company to talk through difficult scenarios and actually have people's input in those. Yeah, and more, because there are 10 talks. It's going to be really, really great. So the conference is free, the workshops are cheap, and we had an inclusion program for the workshop tickets, which has now closed, but we're still accepting people registering their interest, and as and when we're able to, we're awarding more tickets from that as well.
That's amazing. I'm also looking forward to it. And just to finish, let me say that, you know, your hard work is being seen, right? I would like to emphasize that, because organizing events is hard work, and it's not always so obvious to see how much work it takes to organize these things. So I would like to thank you for your effort. I know it's your personal project. It's not your work project, so that's that makes it even more awesome. So
thank you. And at that point, I have to say, like, there is a whole team of organisers who organise these individual events. The event in January is being run by me, Amy, Markella, and Katie. And previously, this event, which was You Got This UK, has been run by a team at a company I used to run, a developer events agency. So Wilson and Sunny and a team. You obviously run, Joanna, IT Matters. Do you say IT Matters or It Matters?
Well, it's supposed to be so clever.
It is clever.
That I say IT Matters, right?
Do you? Okay, so do I. You know, you run IT Matters, Benjamin runs the Humans Conf Open Spaces, and Shai runs adulting.dev in New York. So this only works now because there are so many people, you know, wanting to push forward this agenda of getting people to think about their core skills and better them. And collectively, we get to build this amazing content library. People can go and benefit. That's my real goal with this. It is, I love bringing people together and getting them chatting, but my core goal is around that content library, making it better and stronger and more content.
It's already happening. I invite everyone to check it out, because this library is just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, already. Okay, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, as always.
Yeah, and please register. You can still join You Got This conference. Follow us and our events on Twitter for more information, and we hope to see you at one of the You Got This events in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye.
Bye for now.